And then the parents, oh yeah. Well, yeah, that can be triggering. And I think that comes from just, what my guides have stated, what I've also read and resonated with feels truthful, and what happens in the Akashic records is that we choose parents that are going to trigger the things about us that need to be cleared up karmically, or that need to be healed, or you know you can't see the light without the dark, right? So you have to have that contrast.
Yeah.
And I thought, if my life was just simple and great, and I didn't struggle with my parents, or religion, or how I was brought up, I would never be in this situation I am now. Like, what would make me become this person? I would,
Yeah.
you know what would have created that, that toughness to make me have to overcome, to know that I need to help other people. And so I can look at it in hindsight and say it was a blessing, but it doesn't validate, or it doesn't excuse anything that people have done to you or has happened to you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get that, and I understand, and I love how you're talking about how, in order for us to experience, I remember, I don't know if it was in a book like Sylvia Browne's book or something, but basically there was a reference to if we live in light all the time, how do we know we're in the light? So when we
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
experience these other things, and you're right, and I would think that anyone listening to this show right now, that they would understand as well, that when things happen that are unfortunate, and we're not saying it's okay, we're just saying that unfortunately these things happen, we have to accept that, we have to like it, but that they propel us to the next phase or the next stage, or like you were talking about, you have this ability now to be able to help other people to find their way out of it because you've gone through that yourself.
Mhm.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's about how we can turn these things around. And I feel that, our conversation is perfectly in sync, to kind of be on the end of some of the other episodes that I've had recently, because I've had some major healings in the episode with Mark Anthony, which I would recommend anyone go listen to on theta healing. But one of the ones that I also talked about was my episode with Michelle Lee, and she was talking about compassion for our, I don't know, I can't remember if paraphrasing here, but compassion for shadow self, or the things that we don't necessarily like about ourselves. And I love how, when you're talking, you give this impression that you're being kind to yourself as you would a friend, and that
Yeah.
you understand that your shortcomings, let's say, are just gifts for you to grow. And one of the things that I've struggled with, is I feel that from a very young age, I always took responsibility. I always knew everything was my fault and think, but that was my challenge there. See, my language was about, I thought everything was my fault instead of my opportunity. And so it's been a long journey for me to kind of get to where I am today, which is still growing, but I've had so many revelations almost in the last couple of months as well, because I'm kind of realizing, wait a minute, these are opportunities and gifts for me to be able to elevate and move forward. And if I didn't see the things that were triggering, or if I didn't see the things within myself that I want to work on, well, where would I be? They're all gifts. So how do you start to reframe that compassion for yourself? I mean, instead of berating yourself, and are you able to do that pretty consistently now, or do you still sometimes have issues where you know better and you tell yourself as such?
Um, I don't think I berate myself anymore. And if I do, I catch it pretty quickly. I just become aware of the feeling that I have coming up, and I go, okay, what's being triggered here? Because even if, say, I, come out and I yell at my kids, I'm like, oh man, they didn't deserve that. I can feel a tightening in it's somewhere in people's body. You're going to feel a shift. You're going to feel a tightening in your stomach, or a lump in your heart or in your chest. And it's like, okay, hold on, what am I really feeling beyond this? And I've done this step so many times, it's almost second nature. And so it's just like anything else. When you learn it, you have to really think through the steps over and over. And now it's so second nature. Okay, what am I actually feeling? Well, I'm feeling like I'm being taken advantage of. They don't care about me. Okay, what's really happening beyond that? I question myself. What's happening beyond that? Oh, well, you haven't given any time to yourself, and you feel obligated to do something. And so that's leading you to feel irritated, and that's leading you to lash out. Okay, I see what it is. And then I literally am like a mom to myself. Like, oh, okay, it's all right. And I kind of like soothe myself. I take a moment, and then I can go back out without holding that judgment to myself, because when we judge ourselves in our worst moments, or what we perceive to be our worst moments, we make it seem like it came out of nowhere, where when it didn't. It's like every event in my life has led me to react in this way at this exact moment in time. So it's like I expect myself to be some sort of like holy man when my life hasn't led me to that exact emotional experience at that moment. So it's like, okay, why would I perceive myself to act in this perfect, non-embodied spiritual unconditional Christ consciousness light at all points, when my life, it makes sense that I would react like that, because every decision I made most of my life has been, let me help you so I don't feel bad, and then you make me feel good about myself. And so I can understand and give compassion to myself, because I understand why that happened in the first place, why I got mad in the first place. And that comes from daily meditation. That comes from connecting with my guides constantly. That comes from, making the choice that I want to heal, but it also comes from being of service to other people. I think even if you don't consider yourself this person who knows everything spiritually, and you're just like, oh, I kind of meditate, you have a way to help others with what you already know, whether that be holding space, or being a loving ear, or being, or showing them how to meditate, or how you meditate. When we're able to give back what we've learned, it creates more compassion for other people, and then we can have more compassion for ourselves in those moments.
That's so beautiful. I can't wait till you write your book. We'll get you on the show, we'll promote it. I mean, you're just so bloody eloquent and you just have
Listen,
such a
I
soothing
just asked for a sign from spirit, what I'm supposed to be doing, and I had book wrote down. I
goose.
received the sign. Yeah, I received the sign over and over again. Then another one of my friends reached out and said, "Oh, we should write a book together." And then I was talking right before I came on this podcast. My husband said, "Oh, I saw you. I was in a vision and I saw you writing a book and it getting signed." And so it's funny that you would even say that. Yep, spirit, I hear you.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. And you're listening, and that's the difference. And I think this
Yeah,
book will be your own book, by the way.
yeah,
You may do a collaboration later, but I think people need to hear
it
your
is.
voice.